Good morning, Mechatronics. Today is Friday. It might not be when you're watching this later, but for now it is. And one of the things that we're supposed to be doing on Friday is contributing to our social emotional well-being. So today's live stream is going to be making something. There's been a lot of question of how we're going to continue a Mechatronics class remotely. This is one of the ways that you can continue making cool projects at home, even while we can't all be together. So I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to do as a remote teacher. You shouldn't do things like try and make something up on the fly, try something you've never done before with no real idea how it's gonna work out. So that's all I'm gonna do this morning. So you can consider this your social emotional well-being, laughing at your teacher getting things wrong for a little while. But we're going to try and make a basic automata with stuff I found mostly in my recycling bin, just to show that you can do this at home too. All right, so we're going to try. So I went and grabbed a tray full of goodies. See how good we can get at tilting this without knocking everything over. So I got an empty breadcrumbs container and an egg carton, and this was butter, and I found some toothpicks, a straw, some chopsticks, found some clothespins, found a couple of rubber, one less now, a couple of rubber bands, an old catalog, and then for tools, I have some scissors and a Sharpie and some tape. I don't know what of this we're going to use, but I'm going to try and make something that moves with just what I found. We're going to see how it goes. Okay, bear with me. So I think structure-wise, I like this guy. Maybe this is going to be my kind of container, my framework, and I'm going to make something that moves coming out the top, maybe back up and down, back and forth, we'll see. And then, but I'm going to need some access because my hands are not going to fit in here very well while I'm working. So I'm going to cut some access holes so that we can both see the mechanisms that I'm building and I have space to build them. All right, so I'm gonna tilt this down maybe a little bit so you guys can see me working. This is a far cry from the stuff that we usually get to play with at school, I know, but the idea is that just because we don't have access to the really cool tools at school doesn't mean we are helpless and can't make anything. So one way to make this project a mechatronics project would be to first make something that moves. Okay, there's access hole 1. So I made it less than halfway. But big enough that hopefully I'll be able to see what's happening. So one way we can make this into a cool mechatronics project instead of just a crafting project is once I get this built, I could then add sensors and a motor from an Arduino kit to make it a little more interactive. Okay, so that's so far so good. I think maybe I'm going to make it go like that. We'll put a mechanism in here and make something move out the top. So let's get a little hole in the top. Might be wide enough, we'll see. Okay, not much of a slit, just a little bit. So what are we gonna make move? I think maybe I'll do a back and forth. So maybe I'll make a waving hand. That could be fun. So I have this archery catalog. My son is now into archery. So I'm going to make a little hand. I'm going to remind you that this is not an art class. And beg you to not hold my artistic skills against me. Miss you guys. Hope everyone's doing well in this pandemic craziness. I don't know what everyone's been up to. I've been cooking a lot more. Maybe not more, just different things. I actually made bread from scratch the other day. I like making bread. It's just one of those things that usually I don't feel like I have time to do. And it's so easy to just go to the store and pick it up. I hope that you guys have found some fun things to occupy your time that maybe you don't always get a chance to do. I'm betting that a lot of us played a lot of video games, especially those first 2 weeks home. I am guilty as charged there too. But it's been a number of weeks now, and video games are losing a little bit of their excitement, at least for me. And yay! Okay, so it's gonna have to be narrow enough to fit through that hole I made. Maybe I'll be able to do some sort of, okay, all right. So we have something to move. We have something for it to move in. We've got an access so that we'll be able to see what's happening. What do I need next? I feel like next up, I'm gonna need something that I'll do kind of a, instead of a cam, I'm gonna do kind of a gear. Oh, I'm wearing gear earrings today. So we're gonna be inspired by gear earrings. Okay, so I'm gonna make a sort of gear situation. So this is not really thick cardboard, but it's a little stronger than, it's a little stronger than paper. So I think, oh wait, I have the lid from the container. This is what I'm gonna make my gear out of. That's pretty good. It's pretty stiff. Should be able to attach to it somehow. Okay, but I bet it is too big to fit in there. So I'm gonna cut off the outside. Who knows, maybe we'll have a use for that later. Okay, so now I have a nice circle and I want, it's gonna go inside there. It fits now, that's good. I'm gonna need a way for it to rotate maybe on a crank. Seems like a good time to use a straw. I can attach those somehow. I think that would be good. So if you had a hot glue gun, that might work for down here, but I don't know that everyone has a hot glue gun, so I did not put it in my supplies. But this is a kind of a cool way to be able to attach something like a straw, even if it's a straw made of paper. You don't necessarily have to use a real straw. So I just cut little flaps on the end, and now if I bend these out, can you see that? Bend those little flaps out, I should be able to kind of splay it open and flatten it against my little plastic gear. I'm just gonna tape that in place. Oh, sorry, where's my tape? The actual tape dispenser would probably have been a good idea, but I do not own an actual tape dispenser. Okay, so I'm gonna center this, just kind of eyeball it, and try and get it taped down. Gear on a stick. Okay, cool. So now I want this to turn in there, but this is like my viewport. I think it should go through and be accessed in the back, go all the way through. So I'm going to kind of mark where I think it should come out. And try and cut that out. Good. I like it. I'm gonna make a mess all over my nice clean office floor here, but I'll clean that up later. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Oh, hole's not quite big enough. Ooh, oops, this way. Ooh, I now have a turning gear thingy inside of a container. It's pretty nice. I'm liking it so far. Okay, so far I see that it wiggles back and forth, and I don't really like that. So I need some sort of way to keep it centered. Time for the butter container. I'm going to cut a strip of this guy. That's good. Salted butter. Okay. I have a little strip of paper, and I'm going to, my goal is to line it up with that hole, but kind of on the middle, on the inside, and I'll put a little hole in this one too, and that will, when I attach this to the inside, it will keep that straw from wiggling, because I'll have two holes lined up, right, which is going to help keep that hole from going side to, or keep the straw from going side to side. It's going to make it stay in a line. That's next. Okay, so start a hole there. Smaller scissors would have been a good idea, but I just went with the first pair I found. Not quite. And there is nothing like trying to hand cut a circle that makes me want to use a laser cutter. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, I think that's gonna fit. So now I'm gonna take a look at, maybe we can see from above what we're trying to do here. I'm gonna try and suspend this kind kind of cross piece. I'm going to tape it to the sides of the container so that it helps this line up with the hole I made. So that means when I'm done, this guy, if I want this to be right in the center, maybe I'm going to make this, I'm going to fold it so that it goes about 1/3 of the way back. Okay. Line this up there and there. Okay, so I think that is about where I'm gonna bend it around to tape it on the outside. I'm gonna feed this whole thing in. So it fits, that's good. I want my plastic piece to be right in the center, about there. So I want this cardboard piece to be a little farther back. Okay, so I'm gonna add some tape. I'm gonna cut off those wings a little bit and then add some tape. Okay, cut off the wings a little bit. Here's my plastic in the center. I'm gonna tape those in place as soon as I find my tape. This is a good step to try and take my time on so I don't tape it in place totally sideways. That I have it about where I want it, I'm actually going to take that straw out of the way just while I get my hands in here. Okay, so I'm taping this guy. See that? About 1/3 of the way back. Made sure that my holes lined up all right. Let's test her out. We'll put the straw back in through one hole, through the other hole. Okay, I have much less wiggling now. It's turning pretty nicely. So far, so good. Okay, so what do I need next? Where's my hand? Where's my hand? Okay, so I want my hand to go up here. And when I turn this guy, I want this to move somehow. So now I need this one to be connected down to my plastic gear down here. Okay. So maybe more butter container. Okay. So this is going to get my hand attached to the top of it. so that when this moves, this moves. So if I move this guy around, my hand should move as well. I think I made this too wide. Okay. Let's get these guys attached. Oh, little weak. We'll see if maybe it needs some reinforcement later, but so far so good. All right, so now it's gonna need some way to be attached. That's probably gonna mean a hole, but I should figure out what size hole based on what it needs to go around. I think maybe I'll take another piece of straw since I have all this leftover straw in the back, and I'll make that my attachment point on my gear, which means this needs a hole big enough to capture a straw. I hope I left enough space. We'll see. Actually, maybe I'll show you a way to make a straw-like thing without, if you don't have a straw at home. So I'm going to take another piece of my butter container. Not a very big one. It's kind of a small rectangle, like that. And I'm going to curl it into a straw shape. Now, maybe you have something nice and small to curl it around. Maybe you've got a pen. Pen is pretty good. This is a pretty thick pen. Let's see if I have anything smaller. Oh, I have chopsticks I haven't used yet. I will take out my chopsticks. And I'm going to curl my little cardboard soon-to-be straw around my chopstick. Ooh, easier said than done. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to tape this. Okay, so now I have a nice little paper straw piece. That, okay. Let's see if my fits. Okay, definitely fits through my hand arrangement there. This is going to attach to the gear at the bottom, and as it turns, it's going to make my hand move. But I still need to attach this to the gear, so I'm going to do the same trick I did with my real straw and cut and kind of splay those ends out so I can tape it in place. My scissors go. Doesn't really matter how many pieces you cut it into too much. Looks like I'm doing 4 on this one. I'm gonna get some little pieces of tape ready so I can get it in place. Okay, so I'm gonna scooch this a little bit out towards the front. So hopefully it will be easier, maybe all the way to the front. It'll be easier for me to attach to, easier for you to see. Here's my little straw piece. I'm gonna kind of open those little paper leg things out, right? This is mostly just so I have something good to tape to. It's really hard to figure out how to tape a circle like this onto a flat surface. Tape just doesn't want to hold on very well. Glue maybe, but this, even this, will make your glue have more surface area to stick to. So it's a good way to go. All right, so I'm not going to do it in the center because that wouldn't create any motion up above. I'm going to offset it. So instead of the center, I'm going to do kind of on the side here. And I'm not going to do way out at the side because I don't know that we need drastic motion from our hand, but we want some sort of motion. Maybe we will rate just how enthusiastic a wave it is after we see how much it moves. So my gear now has this straw that will move in that circular pattern. Okay, that back inside. All right, so we can see here, there's our little reinforcement band at the bottom. Here's my gear with my turning straw on the end. There's that slit up at the top that I now see is crooked. I probably should have waited into the end before I cut that. We'll see how it works out. Okay, hand. And through the top. And hook on to my gear. All right, already I see a problem. My hand is way too tall. My gear is at its lowest point. How tall is my hand? I need to lose some height and maybe add some strength. And then maybe even add a little cap so that it doesn't slide off so easily. All right, strength. How am I gonna get strength? Oh, chopstick. Maybe toothpicks. So I could use the chopstick, but then I would have to make the slit at the top a lot bigger. Whereas I think I might be able to add just a few toothpicks and give it a little bit of sneaky stability without having to really change the size of the hole very much. So that's what I'm gonna try. So I'm just gonna tape a couple of toothpicks along the back. That's helping a little bit already. So I did one. I'm gonna add another one. Probably could have made this hand a little bit shorter too, and I didn't. It's a little better. Not so droopy. I think I have space for one more. Let's see, I've got 2 on there so far. 1, 2. I think I can get one more. Because if I do more of these, I'm going to have to up my game on the witty small talk. It's not a skill that I've ever been terribly good at, but I feel bad that you have to listen to my tape dispenser so much. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Ooh, much less droopy. That's good. Okay, so I think this hole is plenty big, but if anything, I need like a way to keep it from slipping off. That's a little too stiff. Maybe I'll try and, I feel like this might be too strong, but I'm gonna attempt to just kind of add a little rubber band collar after I get it in place. We'll see if that works. Toothpicks look like they fit through the hole, that's good. So I've got it fed through the top, hooked onto my straw cam down there, and we'll see if I can get this rubber band in place without breaking anything. Oh yeah, no, that's way too strong. Too strong for a rubber band. Okay, what else am I gonna do? I'm just gonna take some tape and kind of wrap it messy style around the end right there to just maybe help this not slide off so easy. So instead of trying to get it to lay nice and flat like we usually do with tape, I'm going to attempt to just kind of make a mess of it and hope that will keep the paper in place. Messy tape. Okay, let's see how we're doing. The happy hair. Okay, so when I twist the straw, which is held in place by those two spots, the container itself and that reinforcing wall I added, it turns that kind of plastic top gear in the middle. And then because the stick is offset, it's causing the end under the hand to kind of move in a circular pattern, which is making the hand wave in kind of a happy but not crazy way. All right, so there you go. That was a half an hour from my junk drawer to a working hand waving automata. If I wanted to make this an excellent mechatronics project, all I need to do now is maybe add a motor to power this guy and a sensor somewhere to turn it on. And that stuff is in your Arduino kit. Okay, bye. I'll do another one, but not today.